I recall a period in my life when I'd approach my front door each evening, keys clutched tightly, sensing an invisible burden trailing behind me like a shadow. Financial pressures, nagging concerns, aspirations put on hold. They all seemed to slip indoors ahead of me, settling into the space before I could even close the door. Mornings brought a faint glimmer of light spilling across the entryway, and one day, amid that gentle glow, an idea emerged. Perhaps transformation could start precisely at this spot, the threshold where we venture into the day and retreat for solace. This isn't merely a physical spot. It carries deeper significance, serving as the intersection between what we hope for and what we encounter in reality. Envision mixing granules of sugar and cinnamon into a bowl of water, observing as they dissolve completely, infusing the liquid with a soothing aroma and gentle sweetness that elevates the mundane. Now, imagine applying this mixture to the area just inside your doorway, not simply to scrub away dirt, but to symbolically dispel lingering negativity. It's about more than surface cleanliness. It's a deliberate effort to release accumulated weariness, swap out pessimistic outlooks for optimism, and firmly resolve to reject scarcity's grip. This practice isn't rooted in sorcery, it's grounded in purpose and symbolism. Through such gestures, you're affirming that your living space invites tranquility, hard work, good fortune, and personal advancement. I can still feel the serenity that washed over me after trying this for the first time. It wasn't as if wealth materialized out of nowhere, but an internal adjustment occurred. I stepped out into the world with sharper concentration and came back with a sense of appreciation. Gradually, my decisions started syncing up with chances that arose. That entry point turned into a constant prompt that financial hardship isn't solely an external state. It's a repetitive loop that can be disrupted when conviction pairs with deliberate steps. So pause at your doorway instead of hurrying through it. Engage mindfully, cleanse, contemplate, seek guidance through reflection or prayer, and commit to a path. Allow this uncomplicated ritual to mark your refusal of constraints and your embrace of anticipation. Move ahead with determination, ensuring that each departure and return reinforces a single truth. Scarcity has no place in this sanctuary. Our culture often seeks out sweeping transformations, explosive progress, and spectacular wonders. However, existence in its subtle truthfulness is molded much more by the steady, mindful practices we maintain than by those infrequent jolts that force alteration. A modest deed, when executed with true aim, turns into a beacon. It guides the intellect toward priorities, instructs the spirit on aspirations, and dictates to the surroundings what can linger. Alterations don't happen instantaneously, yet some element always evolves initially. Consider the way deprivation truly embeds itself in someone's existence. It seldom declares its presence boldly. Instead, it creeps in via behaviors, mindsets, concessions, and daily patterns that appear benign initially, that weary exhale upon unlocking the door after exhaustive hours, an understated conviction that hardship is standard and enhancement is elective. These subtle consents gradually construct an ambiance where insufficiency seems commonplace and even defensible. The real sorrow isn't just the shortfall of funds, it's the erosion of deliberate focus. Once purpose diminishes, endeavors turn robotic. Optimism gets postponed, and portals meant to symbolize prospects start resembling obstacles. Minor initiatives break this sequence by insisting on consciousness. Opting to proceed with awareness, even in basic ways, reclaims control over your narrative. Purifying your home's entry with resolve isn't centered on the fluid. It's about committing to navigate life with alertness rather than on autopilot. It's an assertion that you're attentive once more. Attentiveness holds immense strength, since whatever garners, it starts to transform. The brain ceases wandering aimlessly. The emotions reject surrender as an enduring reality. The physical form aligns with fresh resolve. I've witnessed an individual overhaul their economic path entirely without any instant boost in earnings. The initial shift wasn't in their finances, but in their conduct. They initiated tiny, nearly imperceptible modifications. Rising at dawn, altering their language about tomorrow, handling their surroundings with respect instead of disregard. To outsiders, these seem trivial, but they generated drive. Drive doesn't proclaim itself with fanfare. It accumulates silently, increment by increment, until you recognize you're far from your starting point. Purposeful deeds also reshape self-perception. By consistently selecting mindful behavior, you view yourself anew, not as a passive observer awaiting salvation, but as an active contributor to evolution. This evolution in self-view is vital because it steers actions, and actions determine results. Deprivation flourishes where individuals sense helplessness. It diminishes where people initiate even modestly, as though progress is feasible. The home's entry serves as a potent emblem because it marks shifts. Daily, you traverse it bearing anticipations, loads, strategies, and recollections. If that area is overlooked, sped past, or deemed unimportant, it mirrors a broader tendency to ignore life's passages. Modest, purposeful deeds restore these instances. They decelerate you sufficiently to emphasize that trajectory counts, that your manner of entering and leaving scenarios influences what you retain. Moreover, a mental refresh occurs when resolve encounters deed. The psyche reacts to ceremonies and significance. Linking importance to a behavior reorganizes the intellect around that value. Apprehension eases. Sharpness simplifies. Self-control feels organic rather than compelled. In due course, this inward evolution impacts choices concerning finances, employment, education, and connections. You start spotting openings you previously ignored. You cease undermining advancement with habitual justifications. You commence safeguarding your vitality and hours. Minor deeds are enduring, and endurance is what dismantles repetitions. Grand, theatrical shifts frequently crumble under strain, but modest deeds adapt, establish foundations, endure setbacks and uncertainties. Every mindful gesture votes for an alternate tomorrow, repeated until the consequence alters. This is the mechanism for altering settings. This is how patterns supplant difficulties. This is how a scarcity outlook starts forfeiting its dominance. When resolve re-enters everyday existence, even commonplace instances gain substance. Tidying evolves into readiness. Motion turns into synchronization. Selection becomes guidance. The ambience reacts not due to folklore, but because people are profoundly impacted by what they routinely enact, trust, and bolster. Once that bolstering leans toward expansion, organization, and hopefulness, all aspects linked to that existence commence adapting accordingly. Subtly, consistently, without seeking approval. The portal to a residence transcends a mere divider, separating exterior from interior. It constitutes a declaration, an unspoken pact regarding what may traverse and what must remain external, well before utterances or resolutions occur. Portals convey principles. They soak up sentiments, remembrances, customs, and forecasts. Each instance a person crosses that line, they transport elements, tension from the outside world, aspiration from fresh prospects, exhaustion from toil, or trust in improved days ahead. Gradually, the portal mirrors what the dwelling regularly allows, endures, and strengthens. Numerous individuals concentrate on interior happenings while disregarding entry methods. Yet, existence functions via access points. Ideas infiltrate the consciousness. Dispositions seep into the core. Impacts arrive through dialogues, content consumption, and bonds. When an access is unattended, unregulated, or considered trivial, It simplifies for any element to intrude without contest. Insufficiency frequently infiltrates thus, not as a crisis, but as a discreet visitor never prompted to depart. Imagery is crucial because the human intellect is designed to grasp significance, but for IA, visuals and behaviors. This explains why specific locations retain sentimental gravity long after. A doorway bearing ill tidings, a barrier crossed on a career's debut, a sill traversed post-prolonged separation. The physique recalls, the consciousness logs, the emotions react. Addressing a home's portal with resolve transmits an inward message prior to an outward one. It proclaims that structure is embraced here, attentiveness is exercised here, disregard lacks authorization here. When folks feel trapped monetarily or sentimentally, it's frequently because they've tacitly embraced models they no longer scrutinize. Traversing identical areas daily sounds awareness conditions the intellect to proceed through existence mechanically. Mechanical mode is cozy, yet hazardous as it opposes alteration. Emblematic deeds interrupt mechanical mode. They compel engagement. They convert habit into introspection. Intentionally purifying a portal isn't about myth, it's about halting unconscious endorsement. I've observed how varied residences evoke distinct sensations before any dialogue. Some portals felt burdensome, disordered, hasty, nearly regretful. Others felt composed, calculated, inviting, even sans opulence. The distinction wasn't wealth but focus. Focus discloses priorities. When someone prioritizes development, serenity, and lucidity, it manifests in managing life's entryways. When someone perceives impotence, portals become overlooked because oversight aligns with their inner condition. What we allow recurrently normalizes. If irritation crosses the sill routinely, it starts seeming warranted. If despairing exchanges are admitted sans opposition, they embed in the vibe. Eventually, the residence echoes not merely tangible customs, but cognitive pacts. Altering permissions demands beyond verbiage. It necessitates observable behavior the intellect registers as a limit established. Emblematic deeds function by embodying resolve. Resolve solo is frequently too vague to sustain amid duress. Behavior secures it. Tending your portal deliberately practices judgment. You're electing to specify what accesses your domain and consequently your inner realm. This routine progressively fortifies choice-making elsewhere. You commence posing superior inquiries. You grow more discerning. You halt accommodating drains merely because they're known. The portal likewise signifies passage, and passages are where most forfeit command amid departures and arrivals. Concentration wanes. Hence, errors frequently arise during shifts, weariness, or diversion. By respecting the portal, you're honoring passages. You're conditioning yourself to navigate consciously among stages, duties, and periods. This consciousness minimizes rash selections and bolsters self-control, directly influencing monetary and sentimental steadiness. There's subdued command in outlining limits. Deprivation prospers where limits are frail, where all is permitted and not safeguarded. When someone commences shielding their domain, even emblematically, it mirrors an inward pivot toward accountability and possession. Possession alters stance. It modifies articulation, scheming, and reaction to prospects. It fosters an inner setting where expansion seems viable and disarray feels misplaced. Eventually, these emblematic routines sway conduct sans coercion. Folks start tidying more deliberately, articulating more cautiously, scheming more reflectively. The residence turns into a validation of principles rather than a depiction of exhaustion. What enters is contemplated. What remains is assessed. What no longer benefits is subtly eliminated, not via clash, but via lucidity. Custom is among the mightiest influences forming human existence, yet also among the most disregarded. Most days repeat. Behaviors executed sans cognition, Motions finalize sans import, terms uttered sans aim. Gradually, this blunts consciousness and enfeebles anticipation. Existence turns into something endured rather than co-created, converting customary deeds into instances of conviction, lucidity, and anticipation. Counters this slide by reinstating awareness to routine conduct. When a deed recurs sufficiently, the intellect ceases interrogating it. This is streamlined but also perilous. Streamlining sans aim yields immobility. Purifying, traversing, awakening, settling, all may turn vacant gestures that consume time sans directing. Yet identical deeds, imbued with import, become stabilizers. They decelerate the intellect adequately to reconnect conduct with conviction. A customary deed turns into a halt, and that halt into a chance to readjust. Conviction doesn't reside solely in verbiage or majestic motions. It dwells in anticipation, and anticipation is conditioned via reiterated cues. When someone deliberately converts a basic deed into a reflection or assertion moment, the intellect associates that deed with objective. Gradually, this link reshapes inner discourse. Skepticism wanes as the day no longer lacks import. Optimism fortifies because aim is exercised daily, not hoarded for crises. Lucidity surfaces when deeds and convictions disconnect no more. Many profess craving alteration while enacting identical customs reinforcing prior results. This inconsistency breeds inner strain, bewilderment, and aggravation. By reshaping customary deeds, lucidity returns. The physique cooperates with the intellect. Choices simplify as supported by steady conduct. Even brief intentional moments accrue into sharper direction. I've noted how mornings differed when hastened versus savored with presence. Tasks identical, yet impact varied. Presence converted custom into groundwork. It enabled spotting thought patterns, intercepting despondency pre-settlement, establishing tone rather than adopting one. This pivot needed no added time, merely added consciousness. Anticipation molds via recurrent forecast. If custom teaches expecting not familiarizes, when custom infuses with anticipation, the intellect remains vigilant. Purifying reminds renewal. Motion signals advancement. Entry declares structure. These links aren't fanciful, they're mental prompts influencing daily conduct. Converting customary deeds also reinstates honor. Deprivation, any form, strips honor initially. It persuades that trifles matter, not care squandered on ordinary. Reclaiming custom via aim rebuts this falsehood. It affirms life merits focus, structure valuable, effort meaningful, sans instant outcomes. This reinstates self-regard, foundational for expansion. Anticipation prospers where aim visible. When intellect sees physique acting purposefully, it revises forecasts. It expects completion. It invests energy, focus willingly. This inner synchronization minimizes self-undermining as deeds company. Entradict aims no more. The person turns practitioner of conviction, not mere discussant. Customary deeds turn clarity moments, create firmness. Amid instability, steadiness lifelines. Basic intentional ceremonies ground when outer fluctuates. They remind while not all controllable, something always is. This agency bolsters endurance, lessens worry. Gradually, these routines reshape inner setting. Residence feels altered, day structured, intellect less dispersed. Choices reflect extended view, not brief ease. The shift quiet yet enduring. Conviction ceases abstraction, becomes exercised. Lucidity ceases sporadic, familiarizes. Anticipation ceases delicate, trained. As routines persist, they rhythm. Rhythm sways speech, stance, scheming, reaction. Existence less responsive, more calculated. Even trials met differently as individual, no longer intention void. Each modest deed reinforces conviction change possible, already moving, upheld by consciousness. Reiteration, steady discipline, meaning to ordinary, dismantling lack repetitions, commences pre-circumstance shift, as repetitions sustained by synchronization. When cognition, Customs, setting diverge, effort dissipates, advancement halts. One may labor intensely yet stuck as inner talk opposes deeds, or setting bolsters evaded limits. Genuine shift initiates when these trio unify language, when thoughts, actions, surroundings cease disputing. Lack repetition seldom upheld by lone cause, reinforced daily via normalized familiar patterns. A cognition like this existence's way subtly molds anticipation. Postponing discipline weakens drive. Disordered setting mirrors amplifies inner turmoil. Each feeds others till lack inevit. Able synchronization disrupts loop, introducing uniformity where conflict resided. Cognition's primary arena. Recurrent self-talk frames opportunity interpretation. Aligned growth, effort meaningful. Aligned limit, effort futile. Many unwittingly undermine by sustaining narratives opposing aims, discuss success while internally rehearsing defeat. Aligning cognitions demands consciousness, repetition, replacing tacit pacts with calculated. Customs translate cognition's motion, daily evidence, true convictions. Unchanged customs, cognitions alone, unsustained transform. Modest customs, consistent, enormous power operate beneath feeling. Continue motivation wanes. Aligning customs intention means selecting behaviors, reinforce outcomes, sans immediate results. Consistency builds self-trust, reduces draining conflict. Setting silent instructor. Constantly messages acceptable, expected, possible. Neglected normalizes neglect. Chaotic encourages scattered. Intentional supports focus, order. Aligning setting needs no luxury, care. Care communicates worth. Caring space reflects self-regard, pivot, responsibility. I've seen momentum, swift change, reorganizing, living intentional. Outer order, inner clarity. Choices eased, delay decreased. Setting ceased diverting purpose, began reinforcing. No coincidence. Intellect cues responsive. Synchronization multiplies. Dismantling lack needs patience. Stubborn resist disruption, presenting comfort, safety. Familiar hardship, safer, unfamiliar advance. Synchronization navigates resistance, reducing friction. Cognitions encourage action. Customs support control. Setting reinforces concentration. Progress natural, not forced. Synchronization restores accountability. Thank you all life parts, same direction, excuses powerless. Harder blame when behavior, setting intentional choice, accountability empowering, not severe, shifts victim to owner. Ownership alters challenge approach, setback view, monetary growth, emotional firm, personal advance, affected alignment, money choices improve, clear cognitions, discipline customs, structured settings. Emotional endurance strengthens supportive dialogue, grounding routines, calm surroundings. Areas reinforce upward drive. Alignment deepens, repetitions weaken. Old triggers influence lose, familiar limits misplaced. Individual responds differently, stress, opportunity, uncertainty. Choices proactive, not reactive. Scheming replaces guess. Prep replaces alarm. Process gradual, reliable. Each aligned deed builds evidence change possible. Assurance grows consistent completion, not abrupt win. Gradually, lack repetition replace growth pattern. Sustained chance not, but quiet thought. Custom, setting cooperation, same direction. Urgent today, act powerful as delay politest defeat. Many not reject change fully, defer. Vow start conditions ideal. Fear lessens, assurance comes, resources rise. Yet someday moving always distant. Poverty, stasis, frustration, endure, not desire lack, but desire endless defer. Now action interrupts, forces reality reply. Moment understanding must motion. Inspiration sans action, emotional amusement. Feels brief good, fades, life same. Act call uncomfortable, removes excuses. Demands accountability. Shifts burden circumstance to selection. Many resist decisive as fear discover change possible. Possibility removes blame comfort. Recall waiting clarity pre-act. Believing confidence first, never. Instead repetition. Problem cycle varied forms. Only acted sans perfect clarity, clarity followed. Motion created understanding. Decision produced assurance. Reversal unsettling true. Life rewards motion of certainty. Acting today matters momentum fragile. Easiest begin conviction fresh. Delay doubt organize. Intellect skilled rationalize inaction. Reasonable explain practical worry past disappoint justify. Arguments wise sound quietly preserve quo. Decisive act cuts noise, not argue moves. Small decisive powerful lower resistance. Intellect resist drastic struggles oppose simple. Movement begins resistance weakens. Physique adjusts. Setting responds. Individual experiences self-actor not waiter. Identity shift crucial. Identity determines consistency. Acting today reclaims time. Time wasted, not lazy, hesitation. Hours think, plan, doubt, revisit. Decision compresses time. Converts, contemplate experience. Experience teaches faster theory. Mistakes valuable, replace speculate info. Courage choosing. Courage not fear absent, refusal fear decide. Fear thrives delay, stronger action postponed. Act despite, fear authority loses. Not vanish, no longer leads. Shift changes, future trials faced. Assurance practice not imagined. Act called today, honor self-respect. Repeated delay erodes self-trust. Internal promises quietly broken. Damages self-belief, more external fail. Action imperfect rebuilds trust. Proves intentions matter, effort follow. Present moment, only power exists. Past fixed. Future hypothetical. Today decisions consequence. Acting grounds hope reality. Transforms belief behavior. Replaces wish participation. Grounding essential lasting change. Action emed ayat. Excuses visible. Lose emotional weight. Obstacle reveals preference. Clarity uncomfortable freeing. Allows honest evaluate. Enables realign. Creates path truth not illusion. Decisive act call not reckless, intentional urgency, recognizes weight perfect, often avoid responsibility. Action creates conditions, movement generates opportunity, effort attracts insight. Sequence reverses misconception, readiness precede action. Acting today signals outward. People respond decisive movers differently. Opportunities appear not luck, decisiveness visible, communicates seriousness, invites collaboration. Changes engagement. Internally, decisive quiets anxiety. Anxiety feeds uncertainty. Decision made, difficult even. Mental noise decreases. Focus increases. Energy consolidates. Individual present more, no longer self-negotiate. No neutral action delay. One forwards life, other holds. Powerful today act call ultimately choose participation, observation over. Responsibility, comfort over. Growth, familiarity over. Recognize weight costs far greater begin. To expand further on these ideas, let's delve deeper into the essence of how such symbolic practices can profoundly alter one's trajectory. Imagine the doorway not just as wood and hinges, but as a living metaphor for the boundaries we set in our lives. Every time you stand there, mop in hand, infused with that sweet-scented solution, you're not merely performing a chore. You're engaging in a ritual of reclamation. This act signals to your subconscious that you're no longer a passive recipient of life's hardships, but an active architect of your destiny. The sweetness of sugar represents the abundance you invite, while cinnamon's warmth symbolizes the passion and energy needed to pursue it. In my own journey, this simple practice became a cornerstone. Before, my home felt like a repository for defeat. Bills piled up, dreams deferred, a constant undercurrent of resignation. But after incorporating this intentional cleansing, the atmosphere shifted. It was as if the air itself lightened, making room for new ideas and motivations. Friends noticed the change in me. I carried myself with a renewed vigor. Conversations turned from complaints to possibilities. This wasn't overnight magic, it was the cumulative effect of daily affirmations through action. Poverty, as I've come to understand, is insidious because it masquerades as inevitability. It whispers that your circumstances are fixed, that effort is futile. But by challenging this narrative at the very point of entry, your doorway, you begin to rewrite the script. Each swipe of the mop erases a layer of that defeatist mindset, replacing it with layers of hope and determination. It's a psychological anchor, reminding you that you have the power to curate what influences your inner world. Expanding on small actions, consider how they compound like interest in a savings account. One day of intentional cleaning leads to 2, then a week, then a habit. This habit spills over into other areas. Perhaps you start organizing your finances with the same care, or approaching job opportunities with the same focus. I've seen this in others too. A colleague who began with similar rituals found herself promoted within months, not because of luck, but because her sharpened mindset led to better performance and networking. The symbolism extends beyond the physical. Entrances in life are everywhere. The start of a conversation, the beginning of a workday, even the onset of a thought. By mastering the physical entrance, you train yourself to handle these metaphorical ones with grace and intention. This holistic approach ensures that scarcity doesn't seep in through unguarded moments, turning to the alignment of thoughts, habits, and environment. It's like tuning an orchestra. When all instruments play in harmony, the music is beautiful. When discordant, it's chaos. Thoughts are the conductor, setting the tempo. Habits are the musicians, executing the notes. The environment is the concert hall, amplifying the sound. Misalignment creates dissonance. Hard work undermined by negative self-talk, or a cluttered space that drains energy. To achieve harmony, start with thoughts. Monitor your inner monologue. Replace "I can't" with "how can I?" Habits follow. Build routines that support your goals, like daily reflections or skill-building exercises. Environment seals it. Create spaces that inspire, free from reminders of past failures. This synergy propels you forward, breaking the gravitational pull of lack. Delay, that thief of progress, must be confronted head-on. It's easy to say tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes without today's action. By acting now, you seize the initiative, turning potential into kinetic energy. Remember, the longest journey begins with a single step. Make that step today at your doorway and watch as the path unfolds before you. In reflecting on all this, it's clear that transformation is within reach for anyone willing to embrace intention. Your home, starting from its entrance, can become a fortress of positivity, a launch pad for our dreams. Don't wait for external validation or perfect conditions. The power lies in your hands, in that simple act of cleansing and declaring. Step into your authority, banish lack, and welcome the abundance that awaits.